Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Danelia, if you don't already know. Today I'm with my sister Leo and we're kind of doing like a double filming thing. So I'm filming for my YouTube channel, she's recording for her podcast, hence why there's a mic here. So her version is most likely going to be much longer than my video. It's going to go into maybe a bit more detail, I don't know, we're kind of winging it. So I would heavily suggest you listening to the podcast version. You also don't have to watch it as well. The link will be in the description box below. You can listen to it anytime, on your way to work, whatever. So yeah, the link will be in the description box below. She does loads of like other episodes on like mental health. She's way more open than I am, so especially if you watch my mental health videos, I definitely suggest listening to her podcast, because like she goes into more details about like her stuff that I'm not really brave enough to do yet. So yeah, I really heavily suggest going to check that out. Like I said, it will be in the description box below. So today we're just going to talk about like the effects of having African parents on your mental health, like stuff that people don't really talk about, stuff that again I probably wouldn't talk about on my channel by myself, but I think this is a video that loads of people need. And yeah, so we're just gonna kind of talk about it. Like I said, this is my sister, so we have like a similar kind of experience.
You know me, every like 3 months I will start thinking, why are you looking at me like that?
Well, how else am I supposed to look at you? Yeah, we've got a straight face, so don't get it, you know? What else am I supposed to do with my face?
Okay, so you know me, every 3 months I will randomly start watching My Wife and Kids again.
Yeah.
And I think you do it too, and like you watch it from the beginning.
I rewatch every show.
Yeah. But I think My Wife and Kids is one, because it's always on YouTube, I can always just be like, find
that's
it.
like me with Girlfriend.
Yeah, so I watched My Wife and Kids, and you know that episode where Jay goes really crazy, I feel like that's every episode, at Claire's prom?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. And then at the end, her and Michael have a really like cute conversation, Claire and Michael, and he's like, you don't understand that she's behaving like this because she didn't get to go to her prom because she was having junior. And Claire says, I didn't know that. And that really stuck out to me, because I feel like an African parent, you would know. There's no way you would not know
what they sacrificed.
Exactly. To the point where you even start to feel bad that somebody asked you, like somebody begged you for the birth. So that really stuck out to me. I was like, that's something that I hope I do. And I hope that I'm able to not do the whole, well, I did this and I did this. Nobody begged you. Nobody begged you.
Yeah, and it's like, there's a difference, because you do appreciate it 100%. It's like, you do. And I think, like, obviously I can only speak for myself, but I'm sure you're like this too. The way I am, I automatically feel guilty anyway. Even if you're my parent, unfortunately, I feel guilty asking for things. I feel guilty if you do a certain amount for me. So it's like, you don't even have to say these things. Even if I didn't, because as a child I shouldn't feel guilty. But even if I, especially because I do, it's like, you don't have to say that, oh, you're sacrificing this, you've sacrificed this, you've done this. Because now I just feel like, okay, so I can't be a kid kind of thing. Like, I can't just live my life the way I'm supposed to, because like, you've done all of this, so now do I have to sacrifice the same things at my age? Or like, do you know what I mean? Am I making sense?
100%.
Yeah. And like, it is a bit upsetting, and I think it does affect, like you said, a lot of African children, because it is like a common theme. Like, it's not like, oh, my parents guilty of this. It's like, it's just a common theme amongst them. And I think it's the way, I don't know, sometimes maybe of trying to motivate you, or like, I don't know, make you do better, or like act better, or behave better. But it's like,
I think it depends on why they're saying it at that moment. Sometimes it is that. So say, for example, you're flopping at school a bit. They'll talk about their sacrifices to then let you know that you haven't had to do this, why are you flopping? But sometimes it can just be little annoying things. Like,
so like, you leave a cup out or something, and it's like, oh, I work so hard for you, I do this, I do this, I do this. And it's like, okay, but what has the cup got to do with that? Like, can we really sit down and think? You can't, of course, but like, what has it actually got to do with what's happening right now? I made a facial expression, by the way, to everyone on the GOODSPACE, because you obviously didn't see that. Check out my YouTube channel. Unfortunately, it does affect me, but then that's the point of this episode. We're talking about the effects on your mental health, and it's like, if you are someone like me who feels guilty really easily, then it's like, oh, you just over deep everything, and then it's like, you kind of start thinking that you have to be this like super responsible, proper adult straight away, or like you make small mistakes and now you feel like really bad and you start beating yourself up a lot, or you feel anxious over small things, or like, do you know what I mean? And it's these things that you shouldn't have to feel, these things that you shouldn't have to over deep in your own home, but you do, because now you put all this pressure on yourself. And like, maybe I'm trying to play devil's advocate too much, but it's like, I don't always think that that is the intention. I think it's more so, oh, like, listen to me, like, this is what I've done. But it's like, that may not be your intention to make me feel this way, but now you're making me feel this way because you've gone and said that. And now I'm thinking, obviously if you're someone who doesn't care too tough, you'll just brush it off and be like, oh, dad's saying it again, mum's saying it again, whoever it is. But if you are someone who cares a lot, then it will get to you.
The reason why I think that you have mentioned intent is because we have the same mum, and we know she's not malicious.
Yeah,
it's not to make you feel a way, but I think it, like, we're going to get deep into it, but why I think as well is like, it's generational.
Yeah.
I feel like it's
100%.
They don't know any other way to express themselves, any other way to like discipline. So
I was actually talking about something similar-ish to this, about what? Yeah, something similar to this, about what? I was actually talking about something similar to this with, that's the word I was looking for, with my friend today. So she's well, half Jamaican, and like we were talking about how with Africans, like, we tend to be the first generation, as in us lot tend to be first generation, whereas they tend to be second because of Windrush. So it's like they tend to have a parent who understands, maybe not the whole life being born here, but like a large chunk of their childhood at least being in this country, whereas we tend to have parents who don't understand at all being raised in this country, being young in this country. So there's that barrier where there's a lot of stuff that we do that they do not get, or like, what were we talking about before? I was going to even link to this.
About generational.
Oh yeah, generational. So it's like there's certain things that they don't get, or like they don't know how to get through to us properly, so they'll parent us the way they were parented, but it's like we're in a completely different country, or like different time, like it's so different. Because even if your parents, even if you are second generation, yeah, it's still a completely different time, but then to now have a different time and different country, there's some, we're lucky because like there are some barriers we have been able to break, like with mum especially, but like some people have just not, like they can try and explain to the African parent, and it's just not going through.
I feel like a lot of people,
or they can't even
I was gonna say, and like we're lucky because if we are like, let's sit down, let's have a conversation, we can do that. Some people are like, that's disrespectful. Like, how dare you
even talk to me
about me? I'm your elder. We are not the same. Like, we can't have a woman-to-woman conversation. Are you mad?
Even over the age of 20, because obviously at 12 years old, even with secondary school, like I don't feel like we
even knew what was going on.
Yeah, exactly. We kind of just firmed it, took it on the gym, but I feel like we couldn't have that conversation. Maybe I'd like, no, I don't think we can have that conversation. But now it's like for 20-something-year-olds, so like she's more like, she'll listen. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, like these are actually older kids. Not even older kids, these are grown-ish, it's a very awkward age, but like grown-ish people, like, let me actually listen to what they're saying.
You said something about understanding us, but I just had a thought as you said that. Do you think we try to understand them?
I think I do.
Okay.
I like, not to toot my own horn, but like I think like I said, I feel guilty a lot. I overthink things a lot. Not with everyone, not any random person on the street. I do, but it's not something that I would think about for days. But if like you're someone important to me, if you're my family, if you're my close friend, like I will think about like, oh, where I've done wrong, or like what I could have done better, kind of thing. So it's like, with like mum or dad or whatever, it's like I'll think about, like, well, a lot of the time, like, this is why I'll make excuses or try and play devil's advocate. It's like, I know you don't know this world, do you know what I mean? Like, you weren't raised the same way, so I can't come and be like, you don't get me at all, because I know you don't, and I don't expect you to, because why would you? And I kind of try and think, when I have children, there's going to be a barrier. Whether it's in this country or not, there's going to be a barrier, because it's a completely different generation. Things are going to change. Things are going to happen. And be like, but why do you even think to do that? Like, why is there something you want to do? Why do you even care about this? Blah, 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 blah. That doesn't even make sense. And I know, to me, when something really doesn't make sense that someone's doing, in my head, I'm like, what? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, what? Why? So I know that me as a parent, when I have kids, there are going to be things that I don't understand. And because of like what's happened with us, I will take the time to sit back and be like, okay, genuinely, try to understand or try and see it from their point of view. But I understand not understanding. So I do, like, that's why if, like, for example, mum will say certain stuff, I'll just stay quiet. It's partly why anyway. Like, I'll just kind of be like, okay, then you just take it on the chin. Like, she does, you know what, I'm like, she doesn't know any better in this case. Like, it's fine, just, like, it won't be forever. Because it's like, I do try to understand. But it doesn't mean it's gonna hurt any less. So don't think that, oh, like, to anyone who's watching this or listening, don't think that, oh, because I'm trying to understand, that means I have no right to be affected by this or to say anything about it, because if it affects you, it affects you. Do you know what I mean? But it's about trying to understand, because you're not going to have a proper conversation if neither of you try to understand the other person.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at, because I feel like it's not trying to understand to keep allowing them to do what they're doing. Exactly. That's not what it is at all, because that's not healthy. But it's trying to understand so that when you're having a conversation, because I feel like there's this thing where they feel attacked. And no one is attacking you, but if like you understand why they're that way, and you kind of maybe start with that, and it's like, yeah, obviously I understand, you know, we were different and things, so they understand that it's not an attack, it's I understand you're this way, but can you please understand that I'm this way? Because I don't know, I'm a bit in the middle, because I feel like I've spoken to quite a few people our age, and like they're all very much like, no, I'm done. Like, I'm ready to cut them off. I'm ready to, like, it's too toxic. I'm ready to be done. I'm ready to cut. And obviously, everyone's situation is different. Yeah. I feel like we've had, our mum is African, we've had situations. But speaking for myself, I can say I think it's revivable. I think it's something that, like, can be fixed. I think it's something that it's habits. So it's not something that's going to be overnight. But I feel like it's something that we can continuously drill. I think some people, though, are like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to make that effort. And I feel like fair enough to you. If you feel like you've been constantly trying, or you can't even get to the point of trying because they don't even believe in having a conversation, that's completely different. And if you feel like for your peace, I can't be entwined with you, whether you are my mum, my dad, my auntie, my uncle, because there's toxic aunties and uncles too.
They don't
really matter. Yeah, exactly. They can buy. But if you feel that way, I don't think it's something that you should be feeling like, oh my gosh. Because I think, again, Africans, it's so taboo. Like, how can you say you don't want to talk to your mum? No, parents they're humans, and they can be very, like, toxic to the point where you're like, no, I can't do this anymore.
And back to what you said about habits, in terms of, like, it's not going to change overnight. I really agree with that as well, because even in general, like, do you ever just, this is kind of rhetorical, so no one has to respond, but like, do you ever just like say something or to respond to a situation in a certain way, and after you're like, why did I do that?
All the time.
Like, do you know what I mean? Exactly. You do that all the time. It's like you're thinking, sometimes you won't necessarily say it to a person, but you're thinking in your head to be like, why did I do that? Oh, I should have done this instead, I should have said this instead. So it's like, I can understand that when you come home from work, you're so used to doing that because you've been doing it for years, so you shout. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, my routine doesn't feel complete if I don't shout. And then after you think, and you're like, that's when they'll try and be nice and offer you food.
Are you hungry?
Be like, oh, do you know what I mean? And it's like, because they've deeped already to themselves, like, why did I do that? But they won't say it, but like, they've deeped it. And like, I think another thing, what you said about like, if you don't want to try with your parent and blah 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 because that's your parent or something like that, whatever. Like, I've seen a lot of people say like, oh, I don't feel like you need to reach out to an adult to fix a relationship, and I completely do understand that point of view. Like, I really do. But another way that I see it is that I hate saying like we're all human, because people love to use stuff like that when they cheat or stuff like that. That's dumb. Like, you know what I mean? You can't just be using that.
That does not apply. You're not human, you're adult.
Like, exactly. But in terms of like still being scared, I think people forget that just because people are adults, I think it's something that a lot of us are going to realise when we become parents ourselves. Like, I'm talking as if I'm a parent, but like, I don't think you ever really know what you're doing. Like, I'm not a parent, but I don't think you ever do. But we don't hear those conversations. Those are probably the conversations that they have with their friends, with like, oh, I'm scared, like, do I let them do this, do I not, blah 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 blah. So you have to remember that your parent is human. Your parent is not perfect, so it might actually, unfortunately, it might actually take you reaching out out to them. It might take you to take that extra step and be like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna try, we're gonna have this conversation. That parent, that African parent that is used to their pride, that is used to their own parents having never apologized to them or never spoken to them on a certain level, they're used to that. So they might not come to you and try and salvage your relationship, even though they miss their son or they miss their daughter. So it might take you having to make that extra step, and it's like, obviously it's all your choice if you're willing to do it or not, but you do kind of need to remember that most of us are winging this life thing, and you can be winging this life thing at 50 years old.
100%.
So I think just trying to drop your pride as well and think from a different perspective. And like, you don't waste your whole life, like you're 90 years old and somehow your parents still alive and you're trying to save your relationship. Like, it's not that deep if you don't want to, but I do think it's worth thinking that, like, just because someone's an adult, just because someone's had a kid, they're not perfect. Yeah.
And you said something, you said that it's probably, you might not know what's going on with them because they decided to talk to their friend about it. And I feel like this is another problem in the African community. And something that we're going to solve, because I know when I'm old, I can go to my friend and be like, bruh, my child is making me crazy. I think I'm doing something wrong. Yeah. They can't do that because of the stigma. Of, you know, what do you mean your child is behaving this way? You can't parent. You can't actually always talk to your friends because they say they're friends, even though their friendships are toxic, because I can't tell you that I can't control my child right now. I don't know how to.
That is normal. This is a whole human. You can only control your baby to even an extent. They're gonna cry when they want to cry. They're gonna poo when they want to poo. You can't control a whole human completely. It may have affected us having African parents on our own mental health. With me, I would say it's part of the reason why I'm more introverted, because I'm just used to keeping stuff in, because like it's like I don't want to be disrespectful and say something, especially as a kid. Those kind of stuff that you're just cutting me off, like you're not letting me talk. So then I just got used to not talking and not responding if something upset me, or not responding, and it's something that I still do now. And with me, it's not like I'm passive aggressive when I keep stuff in. It's not like, oh, I'm pissed, so I'm gonna be passive aggressive. I'll just be like, you know what, everything's fine, brush it off kind of thing, like whatever. But then deep down it's really not, but then it's like only I know that. So it's just not good, like it's not healthy. And it's like that probably happens in a lot of households because people feel like they can't speak to their parents. They can't say that, oh, what you did here upset me, or blah blah blah. You don't really have the opportunity to deep it. It's not, I don't know how to explain it. I feel like if you're like that, then you get it, but it's not necessarily like, oh, you're holding it in and blah blah. You sometimes don't even realize you're holding it in because you're so used to just having to brush stuff off and be like, you know what, okay, fine, whatever. And it's really not good. I feel like it breeds the overthinking and just like being upset on your own, and then going into the outside world and just being normal, but it's like you're not, because things are affecting you, but you're not used to speaking about it.
I think for me, I was the exact opposite. I just didn't like you lot. Like, no, that's how I felt when I was growing up. I didn't, so I rebelled to the point where I'm going to peel you lot off. Yeah, I'm going to get you mad.
I didn't really care. Like, it didn't piss me off. Oh, that makes it really. I was like, okay, I didn't really care what you were doing. I didn't tell
that wasn't affect you.
I saw your BBS.
No. You actually never. I mean, my friends used to be like, you're lucky, your sister's not a snake.
Exactly, I wasn't one of those snaky little sisters.
Like, I feel like you disapproved. I can see your face.
Especially because mum would ask me questions. And it's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna snake on her, but like, and it's like if you came like really, really late, and because I saw the way mum was stressing, because I was at home with her while she was talking, blah blah blah. I was just like, when you came home, I was like, okay, at least someone needs to like to show you that what you're doing isn't right, kind of thing. Someone that you know knows where you were, kind of thing.
Moving on, like that was obviously how we've reacted, but learning for me, like counselling, I will always say this in every episode, guys, I just feel like it's so important. It's like, and there's gonna be a lot of you lot listening to this who have like African parents, and maybe I've thought like, I need to go counselling for this. You probably did. Like, it's normal and it's so helpful because it helps you understand how to react.
Like, agreed. I don't know if I even look like an agreeing face, but it was like,
it's really important to know how to deal with it, when to walk away, how to understand the other person. It's just really good. So through that, I am learning. Obviously, the rebellious side of me stopped ages ago because I got tired. Yeah, and it wasn't really beneficial for me anymore. And as I grew up, it was like, I think then people will notice I'm a lot more introverted now. Like, and that is because now I'm starting to feel the effects of it. And so through counselling, what I'm doing is healing. And I think that's what you need to do. You need to heal before you can then, when you're healed, then you can start having that conversation about how can we mend this. But trying to do that whilst you're not healed is hard, because you haven't really forgiven the person. So they can be saying like all the right things, but in your heart there's still that twinge of like, no, I'm mad at you. I remember what you did in 2006. Like, do you know?
Do you think that certain things are fine? Like, do you think that you've completely healed from stuff? The way you're reacting to situations, it can be the smallest things. Like, I personally think everyone needs it. I don't think your life has to be completely a big mess. I think everyone needs it. I think if you can afford it, do it, because there are things that you may just, small things, and people need to remember, that everything starts off as a small thing. Like, before any mental health issue blew up, it was a small thing. You can think back and be like, I remember this time in secondary school when I was feeling this way, but I kind of just brushed it off. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't that deep. And then a few years down the line, now you're severely depressed. And would you think that just happened overnight? No, it didn't. It started from a small thing. So if you're 25 now and there's this small thing going on and you're thinking, oh, it's not that deep, let me just go to work, let me get on with my day. No, because that small thing is now going to manifest. And at least when you're dealing with stuff in your 20s, it's like, okay, I still have time to heal and like move on to my like great like 30s and this be the highlight of my life. But now you're 25, you haven't done anything about it, you've left it, and now you're dealing with it in your 50s. Again, it's not even too late, but you don't want to leave, and you feel like that's what's happening with a lot of our guys.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what you're gonna say. And
you don't want to repeat that cycle.
You don't want to repeat that cycle, because by that point you have kids and they're grown kids and now you're taking it out on them and you don't have the time for therapy. Do you know what I mean? It just gets a bit long. It gets a bit long. So I personally think everyone needs it. Don't be opposed to it. If you're too scared to tell people, then fine, don't. Whatever, it's not that deep though. You have to own it, because if anything, you are healing. Like, you are taking the steps that they're too scared to take. Be proud of yourself. That shows that you're a rational thinker. You're thinking about your growth. You want to do better. You're trying to be better, because a lot of therapy is taking accountability, and a lot of people don't want to do that. So I think it was very good that we made this video. It is a very important topic. There may be some stuff that we left out, or some experiences that you feel like you've had that we probably had as well, but we just didn't speak on in this video because it was kind of like impromptu, like just going off of our thoughts and stuff. So yeah, if there's anything like that that you could relate to, or you feel like needs to be added, then feel free to comment down below, and I'll respond and stuff. But yeah, do you have anything you want to say for the outro?
Yeah, thank you for, can I say that? It's not my channel.
No, it's not.
No, what I do want to say, or just I want to say, go to therapy, please. And if you have any questions about it and you want to forward them to Danelia, like, that's
I'll probably send
fine.
them to her.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
Go.
Like, I always say message me, and I don't know if people take me seriously, because obviously every YouTuber is like, no, message me or blah blah blah, but like, I try, and that's why my outros can get long sometimes in my mental health videos. I'm like, I try and make it clear that I mean it. Don't forget to listen to the Good Space, because that is really portable. Like, you can listen to that anywhere, not just this episode but multiple episodes. And I will link I'll put the link, I hate that I say my words out loud, like, I'll put the link to this episode specifically in the description box, and I'll also put the general link to the Good Space podcast, because I know you guys are lazy. But yeah, it's available on everything. It's available on Spotify, podcasts, as in like the podcast Apple app, and SoundCloud, so there's really no excuse. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me today, Leo, and look forward to doing more collabs.
Me too.
And so cringe. Yeah, so thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn my post notifications on so you don't miss a video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.